Good morning, everybody. Let's go. We're back on the line. As always, got our cup of coffee. Let's have some fun. Welcome back, everybody. As always, we got a lot to talk about. It's going to be a beautiful day and a beautiful weekend. Let's go. Here we go. There's our first airplane. Let's go wake it up. This is an originator. This one just came up from the hangar, so it's going out to Miami. So we'll do a quick little walk around, make sure everything's A-okay, and send her on her merry way. Aircraft get routed to certain stations to stay overnight because there's overnight maintenance that's being performed. And that is done by our scheduling department and planning department. Incredible men and women sit down and look at the whole fleet. There are certain tasks that have a very specific time limit. So for example, if there was an MEL, a minimum equipment list item that needed to be worked and it's running out of time, it will schedule to that station to be worked on. Or if there was some kind of a C check or A check, they will send the aircraft to that particular station, whichever one is capable of doing that work. They will also route the specific components and parts to that station, so make sure the work gets done. Majority of heavy maintenance does get done at night. Let's see now. So far, so good. Do a quick little walkthrough, almost done, and we'll go check out the flight deck. Make sure these are here. The ashtrays. They have to have one on the inside and the outside of the lavatory door. Mandatory. I know this is comical. Obviously, there's no smoking on an aircraft. But the FAA still mandates this. It's a law. I don't know if they're ever going to change it. In case the ashtray is damaged or missing, we can defer it, but a very limited time window. About 10 days. Interesting, right? Let's go. This is one of our Neos. Man, I always trip out on the capacity of these massive rafts. Look at this thing. That is a big raft. Heavy too. Hopefully you never have to use it. Notice I switched from using the electrical function to just going to the manual because it's just faster. Looking good. No faults, no issues, no problems. It's still on ground power. We'll get the APU running and get everything set up. I think this thing leaves around like 7:30ish or something. But yeah, we'll get it all prepped. Let's go. Somebody wanted to see the manual gear extension on the 320 family. Well, here it is. It's on the pedestal. You simply lift this lever up and you turn. To be exact, you actually have to turn it 3 times clockwise. This is one of the very few systems within the Airbus that actually has a physical cable. These cables will be routed to the main landing gear and the nose landing gear, and it will go to that little unit right there that you saw. That's the uplock actuator that holds on to the main landing gear. Once turned 3 times, it will release that uplock actuator and drop the landing gear via gravity. The springs on the landing gear will put it into over center position and lock it into place. Obviously, this is for emergencies. You know, on these Neos, they made the ACT tanks so much better. Look, they even have a dedicated panel for it now. A bit of context, what is an ACT? Additional Center Tank. This particular aircraft, the Airbus 321 Neo, has 2 of them. If I remember correctly, I believe it's 5,000 pounds each one of those ACT tanks can handle. The tanks are located in the aft cargo compartment, and they're like individual cells. You can actually remove them as a whole unit. There you go, that's what it looks like. Matter of fact, let me show you what the inside of one looks like. As I said before, each ACT tank is its own cell, or they call it a rigid container. Within this container, as you can see right here, all that black surface is a flexible bladder, better known as a bag tank. The piping you're seeing there is some of the manifold and some of the venting system, as well as a fuel quantity indicator. The purpose of the ACT is pretty obvious. It's to make the aircraft fly longer. More fuel, longer range. Now, the interesting thing that I'm going to talk about here in a second is what they're doing with the 321 XLR. XLR is now a longer aircraft, and they are able to produce or install another ACT. But the correct term for this is RCT, rear center tank. ACT tank, obviously for making it fly longer, but yeah. The configuration is much easier to work with if you want to transfer fuel out of the aft one or two ACT tanks on the Neos. The older models are a bit more finicky and they move a lot slower, but the fuel transfers a lot slower. But yeah, pretty interesting. We'll see how the XLR works out. I'm really looking forward to that airplane. Just in case you were curious how the flight attendants know who is calling, just like that. And this is me just having a little fun. I always like to put the lighting configuration into party mode. It's always a nice surprise for the passengers. I don't know if the flight attendants keep them like this, but I think if you saw it last flight I had coming back from Miami, they actually put it in this configuration. It was kind of cool. On the Airbus 320 family, in the forward galley overhead, there is this little translucent panel. There's a little cutaway right there. The cutaway is for that switch. As you can see, it says maintenance bus on. What this switch does is it provides aircraft with basic power. When the aircraft is hooked up with ground power or a ground power unit, you can turn the switch on without going into the flight deck and powering up the whole aircraft. This will simply give you the cabin lights, few power receptacles. Most of the time, the cleaning crew is using the switch to energize the aircraft so they can have light. Next office, look at that. We got ourselves a America West 319. Woo, look at that. Looks like they changed the tire last night. Let's see. That thing is stuck on there. It's all right. It'll get worn off anyway. Here's something interesting that you might have not noticed on the Airbus 320 family. The 319s have two little fins like this. The 321s has one fin. These have got nothing to do with aerodynamics. What those things are actually guides for those rollers right there. You see the Airbus 320 family, the flap configuration is a split flap. There's an inner and an outer. Now between the inner and the outer flap, you have a very particular component called a flap interconnect strut. It's hiding behind that gray rectangular boot. Here, this is what it looks like on a schematic. This interconnect strut has four functions. It lets the inner and the outer flap move independently by a very specified limit. Number two, it gives a different load path for the flap drive system if there is let's say, an attachment failure. Number three, sends information and data to the flight control computers in case the inner or the outer flaps move independently way beyond the limits. And last but not least, it absorbs any kind of energy if the flap drive disconnect occurs. All these fancy words I just said, right? At the end of the day, it's a mechanical sensor. Takes the mechanical movement of the flaps and converts it into digital and sends the information to the aircraft. Just another protection device for the flap system. Let's see, everything looking good up here. But got a bulb out, our light bulb. All right, I'll change that out easy. Yes, I know, old technology. The aircraft has not been upgraded yet. It's still using a fluorescent bulb. Honestly, these things are so much easier to change. Next office. Beautiful 737. This is a NG-8. Looking good, looking good. You know, I gotta show you guys something. It's upstairs. It's got to do with the nose wheel steering. This is gonna be a fun one. Okay, so somebody was asking me the other day. It is interesting. And again, this is a 737-800. And somebody said, hey, what's that below, right below the clock? That's the clock. And right below it, you got a little switch. Nose wheel steering, alternate. You know what that does? Well, I'll tell you. Normally, nose wheel steering works on system A. In case, let's say, system A goes down, you can flip the switch and it will go to system B. System B hydraulics, so. Okay, let me explain this in a bit more detail. Once again, we are sitting inside of a 737-800 or an NG series, and it has two primary hydraulic systems, System A and System B. As mentioned, System A is what's responsible for moving the nose steering actuators. The input that the aircraft gets to send hydraulic fluid to those actuators comes from the steering wheel or the tiller, and it's cable control or cable driven. This is a direct control aircraft, very traditional, no fly-by-wire here. The 737, much like any other aircraft, is able to steer via the steering wheel or the tiller or the pedals. If you steer with the tiller or the steering wheel, you will get about 78 degrees left and right. If you steer with the pedals, you'll get about 7 degrees maximum left and right. Okay, bear with me here, I'm going to get very technical. Hydraulic System A usually supplies pressure to extend and retract the main landing gear. The extend pressure from the landing gear extension and retraction system supplies the pressure for the nose wheel steering. Now, that being said, there is another component called the landing gear transfer valve. What this unit will do, it will change pressure supply to the nose wheel steering from hydraulic system A to hydraulic system B. That means you can manually control the transfer valve via that switch, the alternate steering. So that being said, now when you take a look at the schematic, it makes a whole lot more sense. From what I understand, somebody told me that that's actually an option. Some aircraft don't have that. Or I should say some 737s don't have that. So correct me in the comments or let me know, some of my 737 pilots, let me know if you haven't seen that on your 737. There you go. Pretty cool, huh? Otherwise, she's looking good. Looking good. Ooh, that's a tight squeeze. Oh, we gotta do it. Come on. We know we always gotta do it. Switching the guns. I love doing that. All right, on to the next one. Oh, since we're here, might as well do the mock warning test as well. Like, check it out. Next office. Here's something interesting. Now, you see those two dots right there? Those two little silver dots? Those actually mean something. That's a designation that we as maintenance put that if there was a dent or a little bit of damage onto the fuselage. Now, it's within legal limits because we go by the SRM, the Structural Repair Manual, but we do have to document these things and making sure they're on record. So we'll place a little silver dot with the number of the log page that's designated to it. There you go, here's another one. You know, these airplanes do go through a lot of harsh conditions and environments, like hail, and sometimes they get bumped into. But again, if it's within limits, it's still okay. We're following the structural guidelines of the manufacturer. But yeah, that's what we use them for, the silver dots. Please don't panic when I show you this stuff. This isn't any kind of major structural damage. As I said, aircraft go through extreme conditions. Hail, lightning strikes, bird strikes, ground support equipment. But we always reference back to the manuals, back to the manufacturer manuals. Trust me, if something's out of limits, we're not going to let it fly. But if the manufacturer is saying, hey, this is allowable, you can put it on deferral, make sure to document it and follow up with it, because later on when the aircraft is in a very heavy maintenance environment or a C check or a D check, at that point it will be repaired. But until then, there's no significance to it. It's just a little dent. But we still follow up on this kind of stuff. There's re-inspection periods. So once again, ladies and gentlemen, I'm just being honest with you. I'm telling you how it works within the maintenance world. It's okay. Don't panic. And just to let you know, every single aircraft in the world is flying around right now with some sort of dent or like this kind of damage. Even some of the most brand new aircraft you can imagine, they still have these kind of occurrences, that kind of small little damage. Anyway, let's check out what we got on cargo side. As always, cargo never disappoints. Another beautiful singer. But that's not all. Look at this supercar. Look at that thing. Looks fast, even standing still. A Pagani. Look at that, that is beautiful. This must have been a track car, or is a track car. Gorgeous. Later on, I found out that this is actually a very special edition Pagani. Notice the very particular carbon fiber all over the body and the fact that it's exposed. You can see the layers of carbon fiber. Let me rephrase myself, not the layers, but the pattern. So from what I read, this is either one of 30 or one of 40 cars. This is a very rare car. I think a price tag close to $3 million. And of course, somebody's doorstop. Oh, I don't know why people keep ordering this car. I think the technology is ahead of its time. Elon Musk will get it done better. I know he will. Oh, then they have this little thing. Got a beautiful little Carrera here, tucked away in a corner. Looking nice. Beautiful condition. Now you're gonna laugh at me, but I would take this car over all those cars. This one is the one I would take. She's a beauty. I know I keep talking about I'm gonna buy a Porsche one of these days, but it'll happen. I promise, it'll happen. Then we can do a whole separate YouTube series of me trying to restore one. That'd be fun. Well, how about that? I thought I saw some interesting airplane across the street. Would you look at that? Look who's in town. That is pretty cool. That's one clean, beautiful looking 757. Okay, I'm going to pause it right here and I'm going to allow you, go ahead, leave your comment. But I'm going to tell you this once and once only. Keep your politics to yourself. I don't care who you voted for. I don't care what you believe in when it comes to politics. If you're here, then you're simply here for aviation. One thing I don't tolerate is the bickering of politics here on my channel. I am simply here to admire the beautiful 757 because this is one of the most pristine 757s. And the fact that it's got the Rolls-Royce RB211 engines. I could care less whose name is on the side of the airplane. I could care less what livery it has. I just love the airplane. So once again, don't bring politics into this. Just enjoy the airplane. Okay, now that we got that out of the way, this is a Boeing 757-200. It's actually quite an old airplane. This thing's first flight was back in 1991. From what I've read, it's an interior configuration of 43 seats. It has a dining room, a bathroom, shower, bedrooms, guest rooms, galley, all the fun stuff. And of course, equipped with the iconic RB211 engine. The aircraft was in storage for quite some time. It finally got reactivated back in October 2022. A massive overhaul, everything got renewed and a brand new paint job. Well, in any case, it's a beautiful aircraft, well maintained and kept in very pristine condition. Let's keep on going. Gotta get back to work. All right, back to work. Next office. Here she comes. Look at the comparison, the massive size of a 777 compared to a human being. The aircraft is gargantuan. I mean, I've stood underneath 747s, 380s, L-1011s, but there's something about a 777. When you stand underneath it, it just takes your breath away, especially when you stand next to the landing gear or one of the engines. It just makes you feel tiny. It's just an amazing aircraft. It's beautiful. This is gate 41 at LAX airport, and for the wide-body aircraft, we have to tow these things in. We can't have the aircraft tow in or pull in under its own power. There's just too much danger. Those engines produce a lot of power, and there's service roads behind there. Another day, another cargo pit. Yeah, as you guessed it, another E-Tops. This one just came in from Miami, and we're gonna get it ready to go to Heathrow. The usual, guys. You've seen this a million times before. Who even watches this anymore? Oh my goodness. But yeah, so far so good. Go check the aft one, go upstairs. Walk arounds are already done. Good to go. Somebody asked, how do we check for brake wear? And I know I've mentioned this before in previous videos, and we have lots of new viewers that are showing up and haven't seen my older videos, so I tend to repeat myself over and over again. But here we go. That's the brake pin wear indicator. It's connected to the discs. The more the discs wear, the smaller that pin gets. The normal wear, or the usual limit that we are allowed to let the aircraft go, if it's at 1/32nd of an inch on a live environment, live line environment. Anything below 1/32nd of an inch, we have to change the brake. There's stipulations to this. There is a deferral program where it will allow the aircraft to fly maybe 1 or 2 more legs, but that rarely ever happens, so we'll usually change out the brake. Oh, check this out. Look what came in, man. I haven't seen this thing in a while. It's the Astrojet. Very cool. Looks like the pilot left the taxi light on. Sorry, I'll go upstairs and turn it off. But look at that! That's cool looking. That is very cool. I caught this beauty as I was walking back to grab the logbook for the 777. I always love seeing this. I'm so happy they keep the heritage liveries. Take a screenshot. All right, here we go. We're all done with the interior, all done with the exterior. Good to go. Just gotta drop off the logbook. Let's put the coffee cup right here. Let's go. E-top's completed. This puppy's ready to fly. Gonna go to Heathrow. Beautiful. Spinner, working. Now before we leave, somebody asked right on the 777 on the pedestal, what is this for? Right here. That's for the evac. Want to hear it? Okay, time for some context. EVAC, Emergency Evacuation Signal System. The system lets the flight crew send a signal to all stations for emergency evacuations. The system also allows the flight attendants to tell the flight crew when the flight attendants are ready to evacuate the aircraft. There's an evac button at the flight attendant stations, as well as the one that you're seeing right here in the flight deck. In order to operate the system from the flight deck, you will lift that guarded switch, which you will see me doing here in a second, and put it to on. Then the alarm will go on. In order for the system to work from the flight attendant's panel, the switch has to be in armed position. Okay, let's listen to what it sounds like. Not only will it sound here, pilots also have that button to shut off the horn, not to distract them. They know there's an emergency already. Same functionality at the flight attendant stations as well. The nose landing gear, or the back of the nose landing gear on a 777, is actually very important. This panel, the P40 panel, it gives you all instructions on how to open and close the nose landing gear doors. Now here's something interesting that Boeing does with their design on the landing gear doors. To be specific, on the 777. So in normal operations, the way this works is in order to drop the nose landing gear doors, you actually have to go back to the aircraft and drop the main landing gear doors. All the doors drop at the same time. I'll show you what it looks like. This is me dropping the main landing gear doors. I know it's very hard to see, but the nose gear doors are also dropping. And you'll also see the retraction. Look at that. What a view. This is the best job in the world. It's very difficult to see, and I did a poor job here of showing it, but my partner over there is at the nose gear, also engaging the switches so the nose gear doors can close as well. Bottom line is, to drop the nose gear doors, you have to drop the main gear. In order to bring the nose gear door up, you need to have somebody at that station engaging the arm switch and the close switch in order to close the nose gear door. That's about it. Okay, moving on with the panel. Right below all that placarding, you see that big circular thing? That is the horn. The horn is there for in case there's an APU fire, and that horn will start signaling. Right below that, you're gonna see a couple of buttons, and that is to extinguish the APU. The light is to designate that there's an APU fire. The red button is to extinguish the APU, or to make sure that it shuts down, APU shutdown. The black button is there to discharge the APU fire extinguishing bottle itself. The little red button you see there is for the flight deck call. Ground personnel can get the attention of the pilots via pressing that button. You also have a couple of switches for the nose landing gear wheel well light, and the other buttons that you see there is to arm and close the door. Up next, you got a couple of jacks right there. Those are for the flight interphone and ground interphone. And these lights right there, this is how you push to test them, making sure the light bulb works basically. Have you guys ever seen a 777 take off? And while it's taking off, the landing gear doors are open. You'll see a red light. It's in the main wheel well. That light is there to designate that the hydraulics are running and the gear doors are armed and functional. It's basically a warning light. And that was a test switch for it. Now, I've asked this question a very long time ago in one of my older videos, and I asked you, what do you think those markings are on the blades? This is a Trent 800, and those blue triangle and square markings are aerodynamic property modifications. There was a service bulletin on this engine, or the blades I should say, and the markings are there because they modified the blades for better aerodynamic properties. So, I had to go out and buy a new pouch. The pouch that I was hanging on my hip. This is my old one. Now, Tough Build, I love this pouch. It's been such a workhorse for me. But the thing is, I do not use it for its intended purpose. This thing is literally called a small electrician's pouch. And I basically overstuffed the heck out of it. And I constantly keep breaking it. So I have to keep making field repairs. And see, look, even the clip doesn't stay on because I just make it so heavy. So, but I haven't given up on Tough Build. I still love Tough Build. Tough Build, don't be angry at me. Probably gonna buy another one of these. But for now, I'm trying out something new. I bought this pouch the other day. Let's see how it works out. Yeah, it has no clip. That's the thing I don't like. It has one of these, but we'll see how it goes. Here's what it looks like empty. It's slightly bigger, which, I mean, I'm okay with it, but it is a little bigger. I just got to get used to it. Again, I'm just going to test it out, see how it goes. So I'm going to have a little carrying handle here. You can loop it through your belt, or you can clip it. And that's what I wish this thing had. I wish it had a clip like this, because this clip basically attaches to your belt, and you can just slide it on and off real easy. It's their patented technology Tough Build has. But anyway, and I know somebody's going to ask, what do you carry with you all the time? Here, screwdrivers, more screwdrivers, set of gear wrenches, Allen wrenches, feeler gauges, super glue, more screwdrivers, safety wire pliers, and these. Yeah, pretty basic. Gets the job done though. I can almost change a tire with all this. Well, here's what it looks like on my hip right here. Oh my god, it's pulling my pants down. Anyway, it's bigger than I thought it is, but we'll see. I'll make do. Again, testing it out. We'll see how it goes. It is big though. Yeah, this thing is basically stapled to my hip all the time when I'm working. Anyway, we'll see how it goes. Well, that was it for today. nice and easy. We got to see some cool stuff. But I'll see you bright and early in the morning, guys. All right, don't forget the coffee. Later. Good morning, everybody. Another beautiful day, another beautiful adventure. We're on domestic gates today, so we're gonna be working these 3 gates. 1, 2, 3, and there's our first airplane. Let's go wake it up. Should be a fun day. Okay, let's go. A quick little walkthrough. Oh, you know what? Somebody asked me the other day. They said, well, they were asking about where is the oxygen discharge disc on the 737. Well, it's not actually on the side like you would find it on an Airbus. It's actually on the belly. Where is it? It's down over there. There you go. The oxygen discharge disc. The whole point of the oxygen discharge disc is making sure to let the air pressure out of the bottle and let it go overboard. In case there was a fire within the avionics compartment, because that's where the bottle lives, in case there was any kind of overpressure within the bottle, you don't want that bottle exploding within the belly of the aircraft. You want that bottle to discharge itself overboard and let the oxygen out. And the way to designate that is through that little port. When we do our walk around, we will pay attention to that little disc, and if that disc is missing, there'll be a little hole there instead of that green thing. That means we had an overpressure within the bottle, and then we investigate further. But the point being, that's why that disc is there. This is the 737 number 1 pack inlet right here, and this is part of the air conditioning system. But what I want to show you is this little panel right here. That's called the ram air inlet door deflector. The primary purpose of this thing is to keep out any kind of foreign object debris out of the intake of that pack. You'll only see it in this position when the aircraft is on the ground. It's spring loaded. As soon as the aircraft takes off, that thing closes off and it becomes flush. Quick little walkthrough. Everything looking good. This is the APU fuel line shroud as well as the hydraulic drain. The fuel line that goes to the APU is surrounded by a shroud. Let's say in case you had some kind of a leakage within the supply line. The shroud is going to catch that fuel that is dripping through the supply line and dump it overboard. It's better to dump it overboard than having fuel pool up within the cavities of the aircraft. The secondary portion of this is that it is also a hydraulic drain line. So the 737 reservoirs require head pressure. They receive this pressure via pneumatic systems. Air. System A and B usually pressurized between 40 to 50 psi. But the system also has to have its own protection. In case the system gets increase of pressure above 60 to 65 psi, it will open up a pressure relief valve. This pressure relief valve will send any kind of excess air pressure or fluid that's within the line down that same shroud drain mast. And there's that little gauge. We inspect this, making sure it's in nominal pressure. So far, so good. They're fueling it. See, that's grounded. Ground here. No, ground is right there. Not here. I'm just joking, guys. It's grounding point. Yeah, I know. Me and my dad jokes. I can't help myself. I make myself laugh. I'm one of those people. If anybody's going to ask, the reason it's making that noise is because of the mid-span shrouds. Already made a video about this. Check it out. Remember when I talked about the oxygen discharge disc? Well, this is what it looks like on an Airbus 320 family, right there. Here we go. Let's see. Let's see how she's doing. Status, normal, nice. I think this one's about ready to go to Mexico. Let's see now. Oh, here's something interesting for you. So the initial reference system, the monitor or the ADARUs or IRS, whatever you want to call it, not all the time it's absolutely perfect. Sometimes you have a little bit of drift with nautical miles per hour. So that's why you have 3 of them, so they kind of talk to each other and make sure there's not too much drift. So if there's excessive amount of drift, then there's a problem. But that much, 0.3, 0.2, 0.5, not a big deal. Let me give a little bit more context to this. Actually, this is more of a pilot thing. So pilots, if you guys want to explain this in further detail, I'll pin your comments so people can understand this. But this is from my perspective. IRS is your inertial reference system, part of the ADARU system, basically the same thing, and it collects data of where the aircraft is and the positioning. It uses a lot of the GPS signals to position the aircraft amongst other systems. All these systems provide the aircraft with lots of data such as attitude, heading, true and magnetic, angular rates, and acceleration. Over time, there's a drift, or I should say a drift angle. The longer the aircraft flies, the more drift you're going to get. Remember, I said these things are functioning off of GPS, so as long as you are flying and the GPS satellites are up there, you're going to get some kind of a drift angle. That means a little bit of a discrepancy of your heading, your attitude, and all this stuff. But this is why you have multi-redundant systems. You have 3 separate ADARUs that are functioning at the same time and cross-referencing themselves. I feel like I'm doing a bad job explaining this, but let me put this in a scenario. Let's say the pilots are flying and they notice a discrepancy within their PFD, their primary flight display. A discrepancy within their attitude. In this case, the pilots can remove the ambiguity by cross-referencing the PFD with the standby horizontal indicator display. And this is basically detecting that the ADARUs or the IRS source is not giving them the correct information. It's drifting away from their flight path. I really hope I described this or explained this properly. Pilots, once again, you know this better than I do. Please explain this. Oh yeah, pretty interesting, right? Yep, and this is what I'm talking about. Anyway, we need to realign this anyway. Turn this off and turn it back on. Okay, off to Mexico with this one. Next. We had to give this bird a little bit of hydraulic fluid. The yellow system was a bit low because of seepage, and that's completely normal. This is how we service hydraulics on the Airbus. There's a panel externally, and we simply just hook up a bowser and pump the fluid to the selected system. The aircraft actually comes with its own hose. If you are an outstation, you can service the aircraft. You can also service it through this quick disconnect port. And the way that I did it, which is hooking up an external bowser and servicing the aircraft. I want you to pay attention to something. Look what I'm doing. This is the external power receptacle, but what I'm pointing at is at the panel, and pay attention to how the panel opens and closes. I'm going to show you a couple of more other panels here. This is the cargo pit opening and closing panel. Note in what direction the panel opens and closes. This is the HP panel, the high pressure air connector. Once again, take note of how the panel opens and closes. Opens forward, closes aft. Are you starting to see the pattern here? Aircraft fly forward. The wind direction. The wind direction is aft. Let's say one of those panels got damaged, or one of those hinges or latches were broken. If it was in opposing to the wind direction, guess what's going to happen to that panel? That's right, it's going to rip right off the airplane. But if the panel is with the wind direction, it will simply stay closed no matter if the latch was broken or if the panel was dislodged. It will simply stay closed because the wind is pushing it closed. That's what I call smart engineering and common sense. You know, when we service tires, we usually leave a mark. We'll mark the PSI we serviced and the date on there. So yeah, obviously I didn't service it. I just show you we use like chalk like this. Or you can write like fun little messages. I'm just joking. I'm kidding. No, poor little Airbus. I won't do that to you. I'm just messing around, guys. You know, you gotta have fun at work. Speaking about fun at work, so you guys know Airline Videos Live, right? They usually sit on Imperial Hill and they catch some of the most beautiful takeoffs and landings here at LAX. Well, Kevin and Rudy are good friends of mine and they always message me back and forth. And Rudy messaged me, he goes, Stig, are you working? I said, yeah, I'm over here at 47 Bravo. And they were like, why don't you give us a wave? We're gonna point the camera at you. And this was a lot of fun. I always love doing this.
This one, right? I think so. 47
He's
Bravo.
at the tail.
Is that him right there?
Maybe.
It's got to be him, right? Stig? Yeah, that looks like Stig. Stig, wave. What are you working on? Don't get run over. Careful there, Stig.
Hello, Stig. Hello. Imperial Hill to Stig.
Their broadcast is always on a bit of a delay, so by the time I get the message, their camera is pointing somewhere else. But I finally managed to catch it and give them a wave with my hat right there. But thank you so much, guys. I love you, Rudy and Kevin. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much, as always. You guys caught me in action. Funny. But I look forward to this all the time. But in any case, got to get back to work. Let's go. Next office. Okay. Pilot reports. Nav light and up. The red or left hand, right nav light. So let's go pull some breakers, pull the manual, get in parts, a new bulb, and we'll change that out real quick. We are following maintenance manual procedures and everything is step by step. Pulling breakers and a lot of other things that I did not get to show you on this particular job, but I'll try to fill in as much as possible. So here you go. Okay, we got it deactivated. Now we go up and we change it. Easy. The lens cover is very easy to remove. It's held down by a dozen screws. Now we get to access to the light assembly itself. These are the upgraded style. These are LED. Very high intensity. As you can see, it's a little circuit board with the lights on it. Very easy to remove, 2 screws, and here's the new part. I make sure to put on some gloves because I don't want the oils from my hand getting on that surface. I don't want to damage it. Once put on and secured, I ask my partner to go upstairs, push the breakers in, and ops check it. He turns on the light because I want to make sure it's working before I put the cover back on. There we go. It works. Now put this back on. Easy. There's 3 more things I needed here, which is one of them is a torque wrench, the other one is a bonding meter, and some sealant. This is the only thing I got to capture because we were too busy, but I'll explain. The torque wrench is for the screws. It's very little torque. It's about 10 inch-pounds. Everything is installed. We use a bonding meter. We want to make sure there's a good ground, or I should say resistance between the surfaces. The maximum resistance must not be more than 0.0025 ohms, which it wasn't even nowhere close to what we measured, so we were good to go. And then on top of that, we have to reseal it. And then we have the sealant. The sealant actually does not go between the surfaces. It goes into that little gap right when you put on the lens and the airframe. It's a very small bead and it just gets put in there, making sure there's no water getting into the area. Those are the parts that I could not show because first of all, I needed both my hands for the bonding and I needed both my hands for the sealant, and I don't want to get my phone full of sealant. ourselves inside of a lavatory once again. Crew reports that they're not getting enough water pressure. So, you know what? Most of the time what happens, you get a little bit of calcification and dirt and grime builds up in here. So I'm gonna take this apart, put our trusty little Leatherman here. Super easy. Clean it out, watch. It's gonna work just fine. There's little slots in there. Just untwist it and take it apart. And here we go. Yeah, just a little dirty. See, it's just like the water faucet at your house. It's got that little mesh filter inside. Sometimes the grime and dirt gets caught up in there. Give it a couple of taps, clean it out, and be good to go. There you go, nice and clean. Put that back in there. Gasket is still good. And we just simply reinstall. That's what it looks like in there. Easy. I'll use a Leatherman to reinstall it because I need to get the prongs in there. I know somebody's going to mention this and they're going to say, there's a proper tool for that. Yes, I know there's a proper tool for that, but you know what? Being a mechanic is about improvisation. You got to think outside the box, and the Leatherman works just fine. Besides that, it worked. Everything worked just perfectly, and we got positive flow and good pressure. Faucet was working. There you go. Easy. Clean up my area and go to the next aircraft. Well, coming up on our last flight. This one's a real quick turn. Came in from JFK, going right back out to JFK, so do a quick little walk around, go check upstairs. That's about it. But everything was looking mighty fine. Hope you guys had fun today. I'll see you tomorrow. Later. Welcome back, everybody, and welcome back to one more day. So let's go. Look at that. That's the PSA bird. Beautiful. To my older generation, well, my generation, I suppose, world's friendliest airline. Fly with a smile. The only airplane with a smile. I love this. Here comes the first office. Well, it's interesting. Today I'm back to, not fixing airplanes actually, back on the brake riding crew. So this was coming in to terminate, and I'll be upstairs. We're going to move this airplane later on. So, yeah, not going to be very exciting, but we'll have some fun. We'll see some stuff. I just realized that I couldn't even understand what I was saying. What I was actually saying is I'm not actually fixing airplanes today. I'm back on the brake riding crew today. So yeah, I said it's not going to be very exciting, but that's what we're going to be doing. If you guys remember from 2 weeks ago, I was doing the same thing. And once again, so let's go. We're going to have some fun moving airplanes. We'll do a quick little walk around, make sure everything's okay, brakes and tires are good. Then we'll head upstairs. We're going to wait until they unload the aircraft first, obviously. Easy. And then we'll go prep everything upstairs. That pattern that you're seeing right there on the tire is called chevroning, better known as chevron cuts. This is completely legal and okay, because this usually happens when the aircraft lands or when it's turning. Don't worry, we monitor this in case the chevroning gets excessive. Otherwise, I'm going to do a quick little preliminary walk around prior to moving the aircraft. And I just always got to admire the CFM Leap 1A. What a beauty, work of art. Let's go. All right, before we head up there, I'll walk through the cabin and make sure nobody's on board. Matter of fact, this is Captain Stig speaking. This is Captain Stig speaking. Please get off the airplane or you're gonna come along on a ride along with me. Anybody's back there, come on out. Nope, nobody, no, I'm just joking. No, we'll walk back there, we'll walk back there. The flight attendants do this, the gate agents do this, and I'm going to do this. I don't want anybody back at the aircraft hidden away when I have to move the aircraft. Please open up. I was joking. This is what I get to do when I'm all by myself. Just talk to myself. You know, if you jump up and down, you can actually shake the airplane from the back. It's hilarious. There's enough people in the back here. Yeah, it'll move around. You'll feel it. On an empty airplane. You hit the gust lock, or that little button to unlatch the door, and you lock. Woo! Somebody left the brakes on hot. All right, let's get this all prepped up. Let's see now, we want 129.225 from standby to active. We are transmitting, we're transmitting on VHF1 and we make a call. Let's see now. Ops, this is aircraft 449 and 42 Bravo. Can you get a jet bridge operator? Maintenance is up, maintenance was over your way. There you go. That's our operations, and then I am waiting for our ground to communicate with me through that speaker right there. So I've got the speaker up loud over here. Yeah, just ready. And the tug is down there. So essentially what's going to happen is, well, the pilots came in, they got the Adaruza line, so I'm not going to mess with that. And I'll leave the emergency lights on. I'll turn it off when I leave. But as soon as ground crew contacts me, I'll ask him permission for hydraulics, to turn on hydraulics, kick the beacon on, and, kick the beacon on, turn on hydraulics. I'll ask him if I can clear to release brakes. I'll release brakes, and then good to go. Flight deck to ground, go ahead. Flight deck to ground, go ahead.
Yes, may you release the brakes?
Clear for hydraulics?
Yes. Clear for brakes.
Alright, clear for hydraulics?
Yes, clear for hydraulics.
Hydraulics coming on, and let me know when you're clear for brakes off.
Alright, so we're clear for brakes off, sir.
Brakes? Off. Oh, brakes released.
Brakes released, thank you.
And here we go. Push back, and then we're going to get towed to our designated location, just like 2 weeks ago, to our parking spot. We had opposing traffic that was coming in, the JetBlue 321. Once it was cleared, then we were cleared to go to our designated location.
Charlie 13.
Flight depart for American 42 Bravo, please.
Yeah, American 42 Bravo, Double Charlie 9 for Charlie 13.
American 42 Bravo, Los Angeles, proceed Charlie to parking.
Charlie to park, American 42 Bravo.
South 2208, Los Angeles, ground runway 25 right, taxi via Bravo. Clear wing is 1113, continue down the flank, monitor the tower on 2095.
Continue on our tower, Charlie 20, correction 1113.
Delta 2208, Los Angeles, ground runway 25 right, taxi via Bravo, full short of Lima.
Bravo, Charlie 1125 right, Delta
Delta 453, super contact the tower now on 120.905.
No, 120.95. Correct, that Cathay 204.
Cathay 2084, heavy, Los Angeles, ground.
Cathay 204, we're PDC for Portland. 25 West Score Code 2034, request pushback at 8 Alpha. The ICC.
Cathay 2084, heavy, roger, pushback in ICC, approved, expect runway 25 left, information whiskey.
Please to pushback and we have whiskey in it, Cathay 2084.
South 2208, behind the super there, continue via Bravo.
Continue on Bravo, Delta 2208. Crouch up, 1857, crossing 25 right at Quebec for gate 210 Bravo.
1857, Los Angeles, ground, turn right on Bravo, taxi via November 2 apart.
Right up Bravo, November 2 to parking, JetBlue 7. Ground Southwest 1202, checkpoint 2.
South 1202, Los Angeles, ground, runway 25 right, taxi via Bravo.
Taxi 25 right via Bravo, Southwest 1202.
2095.
Monitor Tower, Southwest 1202, twin. Flight deck?
Good, flight deck.
Set brakes?
Brakes are set.
Brakes are set, thank you.
I figured I'd be quiet so you guys can experience what I experience, all the ambiance and the noise that goes on when we're moving aircraft. Alrighty, all is good. I just turned off the Adaroos, turned off hydraulics, turned off the beacon, turned off the emergency exit lights, or all the emergency lights. Take out the APU bleed air. Don't need the U anymore. Turn off APU bleed air and then let it cool down. It'll self-cool down anyway. That's it. Turn off the APU. And then after APU is shut down, wait a couple of minutes and then hit the batteries. There he goes. What? The ghost stories I can tell. Nope, not today. Not today. Anyway, that's about it for this one. We'll just wait till the APU inlet intake door shuts down and then we go to the next airplane. Fun! Oh, that was fun! Next office. Sometimes the pilots are in a very much hurry and they have to run out of the flight deck because they have to catch their next flight. And these particular pilots left their beacon on, which is okay, not a big deal. But it gives me a good opportunity to show you the lower beacon on a 321neo and how it functions. Check out the intricate LED lighting and the circuitry. Very amazing. Let's go. Time to boogie.
You may need to open the exit in emergency.
Airplane's talking to me. This one. Set up a transponder. Wait for the tug downstairs. Beacon, hydraulics, brakes off, and off we go. Easy. Operations, this is aircraft 451 at gate 42 Bravo.
451 on the way.
Thank you. So I think I've shown you guys the armrests for the Airbus 321 family. The pilots and the FOs are identical. So on this side of the armrest, I told you all about this, what the numbers and the letters mean. It's the adjustment. You got a little roller right here on this side, up and down, and then you have another one that's up here. I think that's for pitch. I can't remember. But anyway, pilots usually memorize these numbers, and that's their adjustment. Anyway, that's that. Then you got this one, this little tiny one, all right? So drop it down, and then you can adjust up and down, right? Now, if you adjust all the way down, you bring it back up, and then pull like this, and you press this button, bring it back out, it will go to the highest detent once again. Then you can adjust back down, up. If you don't press that button, it'll still go all the way down. But if you come up here, press that button, it'll go to top detent. I don't know why I find this interesting. I'm weird. Anyway, armrest. Yeah, we're just waiting for the tow crew.
We're on the flight deck.
Flight deck here.
Ready up there?
Yes, sir. Clear for hydraulics?
Yes, sir. You may release the brakes as well.
Give me a second. Hydraulics going, brakes are released. Good to go.
Copy. Thank you.
Rinse and repeat. This is not a difficult portion of the job to be a monitor and a brake rider. Very easy. But then again, I am paying attention to everything, and in case something does go wrong, that's why you have maintenance on board. That's why you have a maintenance rider, a brake rider. In case the tug breaks down or there's some kind of a disconnect, I'm there to apply the brakes to stop the aircraft. In case there was an APU fire, I know how to extinguish it or to shut it down properly. Or any kind of emergency events. I am there because I'm qualified for these aircraft. I know how to encounter emergency procedures. But overall, 99.9% of the time, nothing ever happens in such cases. It's a smooth ride. I'm just there and I'm watching. And it's a beautiful ride. So enjoy the show. And that's that. Alrighty. Let's see. Everything is turned off. I got everything good to go. Do a quick little double check, visual. Yeah, I'm happy. I'm good with this. Kill those lights and say good night. Well, I'm still waiting for the APU door to shut down because the batteries are still engaged. This is why you see some functionality within the flight deck. You'll still see some lights, and the lights are focusing on very particular components. One of which is the first officer's dome light, because that's critical. It's tied into the hot battery bus. Also the standby instruments, that's also tied into the hot battery bus, as well as some of the components that shine down, or the lights that shine down on certain places. The reasoning for this is because when you have total failure, all you have left is battery. The batteries are there to provide you the most simplistic components or functionality of visual cues where you can still fly the aircraft. You know, I've said this before and I'll say it again. Everything that's built within an aircraft is done for a reason. It's just incredible engineering. Did you guys catch that? Did you see what I just did? I always make sure that the door is disarmed. There's a big reason for this. This is for inadvertent slide deployment. Every single time, and I'm talking to aircraft technicians or to flight attendants, and pilots as well. And if it is not an emergency evacuation purposes, make sure that door is disarmed. This is why I always do it. My hand always goes to the disarm slide first. Make sure that it is disarmed before you exit the aircraft, unless it's in an emergency. If it's an emergency, then don't worry about it. Follow procedure. After all is done, I'm going to do a final walk around, make sure everything's a-okay, making sure that nothing was damaged while we were being taxied, and just to do a good visual inspection of the aircraft. This aircraft is going to stay overnight for maintenance, but I am done for the day, and this was my last aircraft. I know, not very exciting moving airplanes around, sitting around and just enjoying the view, I suppose. But I hope you guys enjoyed all this. It's a fun adventure, and I love taking you with me on these adventures. Sometimes it can be repetitive, sometimes it can be monotonous. But an adventure is an adventure. You have to take the good with the bad, I suppose. Well, that's about it. That wraps it up for this week. Hope you guys all had fun. I know, just taxi, well, moving airplanes around. Nothing too exciting. But I hope you guys all have fun. I'll see you all on the next adventure. Later. If you have managed to make it to the end of this video, congratulations. This was a long one. Once again, just want to say a big thank you to all of you. Thank you for being patient and all your suggestions and all your input and all your knowledge. You guys are incredible. I always listen to every single word you say. I read every single comment that you put down. I apologize. I am having a difficult time to catch up with all the comments. It's been a lot lately, but I'm going to catch up. Trust me. Just want to say a big thank you to this beautiful aviation community, and thank you for being here. Thank you for listening and learning. Well, that's about it. Hope you guys had fun. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you guys on the next adventure. Cheers.